welcome to Make Music Income Live. Today we're going to be talking about where I am with stock music. And this is a little bit of a sticky kind of conversation that we're going to have today because it's not all roses and sunshine as far as what's going on with music income in the stock music licensing world. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about where I am with stock music licensing in all honesty and candor. It doesn't feel great actually right now. And over a year of really focusing on Motion Array, Pond5, AudioJungle, and to a certain extent, Audio Sparks and Motion Array and 123RF and more, I have to say that I am a little bit disheartened by what is going on. And it's not that it's terrible. It's not that it's awful. It's not that nothing is happening, right? But it is certainly after last year where the numbers were pretty exciting and there was a lot going on, that this year is certainly a different year in stock music. But there's a lot of reasons for that. I'm going to go over them. Hey, if anybody is in the chat right now, please go ahead and shoot me a text and tell me how the sound is this morning, how everything is sounding. Let me know that you are here in the chat, and then we'll continue on with this kind of soliloquy on where I am with stock music. See, we've got about 8 people in the chat right now, so let me know that you're here. Pete, thank you so much for being here, and thanks for telling me it's sounding good. Very good. Good to know. Kind of a lower audio needs than our music review Tuesdays, but still glad to have you all here. And we're going to really get in to the stock music world today. We're going to talk about where I am with everything. Now, it's not that I haven't made anything with stock music. I made a ton with stock music over the past year and a half. It's been a nice little side income, not as good as others, but better than some. So I can't say that I haven't made anything for sure. To be honest, I've averaged probably about $225 per month this year in 2022, and that's not nothing, to be sure. I mean, hey, it pays the electric bill, right? So in fact, it's almost exactly where things were, a little more in fact, than this time last year when I started stock music at the beginning of 2021. And if I average all year in royalty free from all libraries last year, if I just average that out, what I made completely from all royalty free libraries, it was about $373 per month on the average. Now that includes lower paying months in the beginning of the year and higher paying months in the middle, and then some lower paying months in the end. But I mean, close to $400 a month, that's not bad. A lot of people are going to think that's awesome, right? And so so today I just wanted to kind of go through where I am with stock music, why I want to continue to talk about this from time to time and update where things are, just so you'll know, just have an idea of what someone else is experiencing with this. We talk about this in our Discord. And by the way, if you're not part of our Discord, make sure you look in the comments below. I always put the information on how to join the Discord, and you can come be part of that. We're over 500 strong now in our Discord. Lots of people talking about lots of things, including stock music, on a daily basis. Lots of conversation going on there. You'll never be at a loss for finding people to talk about. And if you don't know what Discord is, it's kind of like Facebook without anything else other than just the conversations about these things about concerning and kind of revolving around making music income. That's all the Discord is, and we have a lot of fun in there and a lot of good conversations. Okay, so you're probably looking at me and saying, oh, you're making $225 per month in 2022. That doesn't sound so bad. Yeah, you made $373 last year. I'm down about 150 per month from that, but still, here we are making $225 per month. And you say, hey, I would love to make $225 a month. You ungrateful music snob, how could you not be happy with making a couple $100 or for just having music up there that you continue to keep up there? There's no like uh, big crazy thing going on. I just keep the music up there, and it keeps making money. On Easter last month in April, I had lots of sales for songs that I put up there last year that were Easter focused, and so they did pretty well. So, but there are a few valid reasons why my income has gone down on stock music libraries. And I want to talk about those today, and kind of get into those as far as what's happened to me. Maybe this has happened to you, and we can commiserate maybe together about how stock music is going for all of us. Well, let's look in the chat now, and I see there's our friends. Ronan, good morning. Thank you for talking about the Discord. Luca says hi to everybody. Hi, Luca. How are you doing this morning? So Pete Mason is here. Applin Music 52 is here. Just great to see everybody in the chat so far today. All right, well, as I do on these things, I'm going to just continue to go through and make this a video that is not just for people who are here live, but people who are watching this later, to find out this information about why stock music, for me, is a little different this year. And you'll probably know a lot of these things as I talk about them. You'll understand why this is happening to me, because it's probably happening to you. So let's jump right in with the first thing that's happening that's kind of changed everything a little bit, and that is our good friends at Motion Array. Motion Array has certainly changed the game for all of us. It has completely, it is just completely changed the way they figure that up. What can I say? They changed their payment model. In fact, I've been lucky to get bonuses twice this year from Motion Array. If I hadn't gotten those bonuses, my monthly average of all stock music would be around $175 per month. And then that would be like $200 per month less on average from last year. So you think I'd be happy that I got those bonuses, right? Well, I am. Motion Array continues to be a place that takes my music, and while I don't do as well on there as other people, like my friend Steve or a few other people that have made $200 to $400 to $500 a month with Motion Array, I'm still happy to be there. I'm still happy my music's on there, and I still aim my music for Motion Array. It's just that with the new downloads model, where they are putting music out in this way and putting out information in the downloads model rather than paying you per song, and you're seeing how much you're making on each song every month. It's just a different model, and the pay is drastically less, 50 to 60% less than it was last year. But there's something else that's bothering me, and we'll continue to get to that. Also, when we talk about income from libraries, as some of you may know, I've been doing what I call the great low price experiment on AudioJungle and Pond5. And I've drastically cut my prices this year, just doing some experiments. In some ways, all of stock music licensing has become an experiment. I talked to a guy yesterday who makes a boatload of money on Spotify and all the digital music services, and he does that by experimenting, by just trying things and see what happens, and also by a huge amount of quantity, but we'll talk about that later. And we're working on an interview with him later as well. But I thought, and this was my thought behind the whole changing and slicing prices down on AudioJungle and Pond5, was that if I could increase downloads, again, since we are now in a downloads mindset on Motion Array, I thought, well, maybe I should be in a downloads mindset on AudioJungle and Pond5. Instead of selling one song once a month or every other month for $40 or $50 and making 20 bucks, what if I tried to cut everything down to $5 or $10 on AudioJungle and Pond5 and see if that would increase downloads? Because if that increases downloads, then there's more possibility that these songs might be used in a YouTube video, which might then get tracked by Content ID, which I am now doing with Identify. We've talked about that. And if you look at my channel and look at the Content ID material, you'll see where I've talked about doing that. And Stevie B and I are talking about that in our podcast as well. And at some point, we'll have an update video for you because we both joined Identify at about the same time. And we'll have an update on if that is making us any money. And so we'll get there at some point. So keep watching and subscribe to this channel just to make sure that you are getting and hearing the updates from this channel and being notified of future things that happen. Make sure you're subscribing. But getting back to Pond5 and AudioJungle, and just focusing on AudioJungle for a minute. So I made a lot more from AudioJungle last year, at least on the front end, last year on AudioJungle than I made this year, that I'm making this year, because I was selling at higher prices, and at least for part of the year last year, that was working on AudioJungle. And I averaged over the course of the year about $40 a month from AudioJungle, but this year it's only about $16 per month. But here's the big but. So far in the first 4 months of this year, I've had almost twice the amount of downloads on AudioJungle as I did the entire year last year. I had like 25 downloads at the end of the year, and now I've got almost 50. And so, in just 4 months. So I've done 4 times the amount of downloads in these first 4 months. So I think that the number of downloads is more important. And if we look at the number of downloads on AudioJungle being the key for possible Content ID income, like we look at Motion Array for the more downloads, the better, right? Then maybe my low-cost experiment will be worth it in the back end. It's hard to know, but we're just going to find out. Same thing with Pond5. Well, on Pond5, I've lowered all the prices down. Now, on Pond5, this has been a different story than last year. So far on Pond5, I've been doing better by almost $5 a month. That's not a lot, but having a quantity of files, I have over 200 files on Pond5. So, and now that they're at lower prices, they are selling all the time. And if you add in the membership income, and some of you are part of the Pond5 membership program. If you're not, you should look at my Pond5 video, which you can find in my videos, and find out where I talk about how to join the Pond5 membership program. But if you add that in, I'm really doing way better on Pond5. And in fact, I had my best month on Pond5 last month. In April of 2022, I had my best month of total Pond5 incomes. So again, you'd think I'd be happy, wouldn't you? Like I said, this video is not about how I'm quitting stock music and how I hate stock music or how terrible my life is because of stock music. I'm happy with the experiments I'm doing, and they're bearing fruit. AudioJungle maybe not as much, but they certainly are bearing fruit on the download side. And so I think that's important. But there has been a feeling I've had all year about stock music, and even a bit of a dogma I've been following all year with stock music. So more in that in a bit. All right, let's look in the chat and see what is going on. Vic is in the house, says, awesome. Hey, glad to have you, Vic. Thanks to everybody for being here. If you have specific questions about licensing with stock music, throw them in here. If you have specific comments on things that are happening to you that of the things that I'm talking about, then absolutely throw them on here. And by the way, happy May the 5th be with you. No, sorry, Revenge of the 5th. I don't know what you call it at this point. Star Wars Day was yesterday, but we're still in the Star Wars mood, aren't we? All right, so that's pretty much my experience with Motion Array and Pond5 and AudioJungle and where those are leading me right now. And those continue, as usual, for me, and I'm sure with most of you, to be my top paying libraries per month. I think this month, if I just go in and look at my Excel sheets, I know those three are the top. And actually, Pond5 for the first time has become my second most fruit-bearing, you could say, income in royalty-free music or stock library music by a pretty big margin over, especially if you include the Pond5 membership. It's making about a sixth of what Motion Array is, and certainly a good $30 more than this year's what AudioJungle has made. So it's been a slower AudioJungle year, and I think I've heard from a lot of people that it's been a slower AudioJungle year for them as well. But I really feel that, you know, the music libraries on stock music, the three that are working for me are Motion Array, Pond5, and AudioJungle. Now, let's go ahead and jump right into the other stock libraries that I work with. And these are like the other guys. I make a few pennies from them a month. I think the things I'm going to be talking about are much lower per month, $5, $10, $20 type of monthly incomes. And that starts for me with AudioSparks. It does bring in money every month. Now, it's only like $5 or $10 of streaming type royalties. And if you're with AudioSparks, you know what I mean. If you don't, then it's a little like being on streaming. They pay you royalties from the different kinds of ways they put music out to overhead music. And they also have their own Spotify channels, and they might have channels on other DSPs as well. But I have found my music through, that's on AudioSparks on Spotify and through them as well, which is fine because they do pay that, and I can see what they're paying, and their accounting is pretty straightforward. And so the problem with AudioSparks is it does take a little bit to accrue until you get paid. They only pay quarterly, and I think you have to meet a $25 threshold every quarter. So I'm actually getting a payment this month from them. It's about $45, which is fine, and it pays a bill or two, obviously. So AudioSparks is one that continues to bring me some income. Pond5 subscription, I talked about that up with Pond5. It's kind of like a separate deal because it pays you separately. I think that payment last month was like $26. I would love to see that increase, but it could just as well go down to the $5 or $6 or $7 it paid the first month. SongTrader, which really isn't a library, as most of the money I make from that is either from distribution to Spotify and things like that, or other money it collects a few bucks here and a few bucks there and pays from time to time different little things that I'm involved in with SongTrader. And of all things, Motion Elements has started to pay monthly with its subscription, although I did drop every song on Motion Elements just for my grand low price experiment on Motion Array to $5, and I've seen absolutely no sales in that library because of that move. Now, I've also stopped uploading anything new to Motion Elements, and to most of these actually, just because of time, and we'll talk about that in a little while because that's part of this whole deal. VFine is just a mess and makes me zero money anyway, and so it's just barely being one I check these days. 100 Audio is just too hard to deal with for me. You may love 100 Audio and make money, but by the time you even get paid because of their high $280 payout, and then they take all the taxes and stuff out, I just don't want to fool with it. So I have really stopped that, and I have a very small amount on there because I've kind of gone exclusive more with VFine, which turned out to be a terrible mistake because VFine has like gone into some kind of limbo with two different kinds of libraries. And then 123RF, which is another one I've used. It was my very first sale, but it's made nothing or close to nothing, even though I also did bring everything in that down for the a few months ago and to the lowest price that 123RF would allow, and I didn't see any sales. So and even with 123RF, I made $50 for the entire year last year, and that's just too much work for the FTPing up and the things that I have to do to make that go. So I've just not been really worrying about that library either. Dreams Time and Deposit Photos have turned out to be pretty much of a waste of time for my catalog. I think in total, if I look how much I've made with them, I've made a couple of bucks this year. And when I say a couple, I mean literally $2 to $3. And then last year I made a total of about 42.56 on both of those libraries, but neither of them has paid because I haven't reached the pay threshold for those. So that has kind of that has kind of just made me not want to continue to upload things. I did go to Dreams Time and try to change some of the prices on there, and that hasn't made any difference. So let me reiterate a little bit, though, that all of what of these numbers I'm telling you is my experience, mine. It's probably not what you are seeing. You might be seeing something completely different with your music. For instance, on Motion Array, Stevie B is killing it with what he's doing, and I am only making a couple $100 a month, but that is just because of the type of music that we both do, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. I'd also like to say that I have added several new libraries this year. Starting in January, I've put 30 or so songs up there, and these libraries are the Music Case, Infinity Music, Jamendo, Yummy Sounds, and Music Bay. No sales yet on any of these libraries, with about 30-ish songs in each one. Some of them only want certain kinds of songs. And so, again, I kind of follow a logic with new libraries. If I put 30 to 50 songs into a library and nothing happens, and I get no sales for 6 months on end or whatever, I don't put any more up until I see one sale. There's got to be some sale, or I'm not going to put any more time into that library. So if I put 30 to 50 songs in these new libraries and nothing happens, literally nothing, zero, then it just becomes another music grid, basically. And we all know what a waste of time that turned out to be last year. Or even worse, the one I can't even remember, something like what was that thing called? There was another one, that Motion something, and it was terrible, and nothing ever happened with it, and it turned out it felt like a big scam. Well, I can't continue to abide spending my time on those libraries. So that certainly is something I have to just kind of pause now. So that's where I stand with the lesser paying libraries. So let's look now at the chat and see who is here. Ronan, yeah, woe is right. woe is me. Woe in general. If anybody has any thoughts, I would love to hear them on if you're dealing with any of these libraries. Anybody out there seeing better years than they saw last year with Motion Array, with AudioJungle, with Pond5, with any of these other libraries that I've been talking about. If you have any thoughts or any kind of information to share, would love to see that in here. Ronan says, I took all my music down all on stock and put together 10 songs albums for my digital distribution because of what you're talking about. That was taking so much time from the other things. Yeah, and you know what, Ronan, I had a long conversation yesterday with a guy who's really working hard on putting songs out to digital distributors, and we've heard from Dan Barracuda and the Barracuda Way. The Barracuda Way, this is the way. And we've heard his success at paying his rent with Spotify. And this other guy that I was talking to yesterday, who I think I'm going to be doing an interview with, actually is doing way better than we could ever imagine, even Stevie B could imagine from stock music, just because he's they're focusing on Spotify and certain kinds of genres, like Dan focuses on genres of Latin and acoustic guitar music, and he does well there. And then there are people like this guy I talked to yesterday who's working mostly in ambient and found sounds and things like that. And he has multiple playlists and multiple artist names and is pulling in 5 figures with Spotify. Yes, 5 figures with Spotify. So, yeah, I can see what you're talking about. Pete Mason says, "Hey Eric, do you use different artist names for different libraries, or are you under one name for all?" I am under one name for all, except for AudioSparks, which asked me to be From the Moment. I use From the Moment Music, which is the name of my publishing company, and I've been using that since I started on all the libraries. And so anywhere you see me, it'll be From the Moment something. Luke is here. Thanks for being here, Luke. Luke says, "Hey, Eric, I know you said Pond5 is a good place to start. I saw your video on it. Do you still think this is a good place to start in stock music? I haven't started yet, but want to." Yes, I do, for a lot of reasons, and they're all in my my video about Pond5, and I will go back later and put that right up here if you haven't seen it. I think Pond5 is the best way, and the reason is because it helps you. If nothing else, it acts as a great database and helps you come up with new keywords to put in and your description and all the things basically that you're going to need to put it into other libraries. It kind of does it for you, and it allows you to put your music right into an engine. It's a relatively quick and relatively open market. It's not like Motion Array or even AudioJungle, which is very, I would say, stingy on what they accept. These are very high quality. Pond5, it's not that the bar is really super low, but it's certainly lower than Motion Array. But not only that, I think there are some new reasons to be part of Pond5. This new subscription model they have, everybody should be part of that. It doesn't hurt anything. And I think in general, it's a way to sell a quantity of files for whatever price you want. And I really suggest that people do that and start there for sure. Jorge says, "I'm having the same results. Pond5 is still strong, but in Motion Array, I came in from 500 US a month to barely making the minimum $50 payout." Yeah, I'd like to say that I haven't heard that story very much, but I have, Jorge. Everybody, I think, is feeling that cut at Motion Array. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer on Motion Array, and there doesn't seem to be a middle class anymore like there used to be. If there is, I maybe fit in it, since I make 100 to 300 this year has been my average on Motion Array. I think if I look at my average, I've made about 658 so far if you split that up into 3 months. The first 4 months was average is about $165 a month on Motion Array, which is not terrible, and it's not something I wouldn't take. I would certainly take it, and but it certainly is lower. And it's not that it's depressing because we're making less money. I mean, it is, but there's more to it than that. And there's something I talk about all the time that I'm going to get to here in just a minute. Also in our chat, Ronan says, "I agree with joining Pond5 for the tags and the song description area. Copy paste." Absolutely. Copy paste. Lucas says, "I have submitted some tracks on Motion Array for review almost 2 months, but the waiting time is really eternal." Well, I'll tell you, Luca, the same thing I repeat over and over. When I talked to them about this, they said, if you're waiting more than 6 weeks, you need to email them. And some people I read on the Discord recently are afraid to email Motion Array because they're afraid that might make them look like they're in a bad light and or get them rejected if they are not. There's this kind of mentality that if you bother people, that you're not going to get your music accepted there. And people just do not want to make any possible inroads to get rejected. People are so scared of rejection that they are not going to even try. And so I think it's important to try to get your music out to Motion Array. And if you think you have Motion Array type quality music, and you should know that by the time you submit to them, is that you should be contacting them at, I believe it's content at motionarray.com. I believe it's in the Discord. I think I've mentioned it on this here before. If you want to find out that, just leave a comment below, and I'll try to find that later. But they have told me, please contact us if you go past 6 weeks after your first submission. Now, they are very picky, and it takes them they're very careful curators. So Motion Array may take some time, but when you get to 2 months or 3 months or 4 months, then it's on you if you haven't contacted them about why you're not hearing back from them. And like I said, a lot of people are a little scared to bother them. And Lucas says, I'm not scared of rejection. It's the last of my problems. Good. Well, then go ahead and contact them. Hit them up. They will get right back with you and tell you what's going on with the queue, what's taking so long. And it might just say, oh, sorry, we missed that, or we didn't see that. And I did when I first joined them. I was in the queue for also several months probably. And I kept just bugging them, and they said, we're going to get to it. We're going to get to it. So I stayed on their mind. So absolutely stay on their mind if you can, Luca. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about New Music Tuesday, which is coming up this Tuesday. We're going to be alternating each week, New Music Tuesday and Make Music Income Live, just because I only have time to do one live per week. And I also want to be making sure that I have time to make content that is recorded and edited. And so I have a very limited schedule of time that I can spend making videos. So I'll be alternating these. And so today is Thursday. We're doing Make Music Income Live. Next week, we'll be doing Music Review Tuesday live on Tuesday. And so if you want to be part of that, this week, we're going to do Making Music for TV and Film. So it's going to be, again, a focused show like we did last time. If you haven't seen the corporate one that we just did, it's right up here. And that one went very well, and a lot of people submitted corporate type stuff. This time I would like people to submit making music for TV and film, things you think might fit in a TV show or in a movie or something like that. Think non-stock, basically. The stuff that you think would work in a scene, in a TV show or film. And if you want to get in touch with us, you can just email us. I don't have my email link here, but you can just email at makemusicincome@gmail.com. And let me just put that in the comments here. And you can certainly just email us right there. Right here. Just email us here with your newest song and a song that you think might fit in TV and film, and we will try to get that on the show on Tuesday, and you can be part of the music review, get your song reviewed for free, and just talk to us about what is going on with your music, and we'll talk about your music and show it to the world. So that's for free. Just make sure that there is no content ID. All you have to do is in that email, just send me an MP3 only, maybe a few lines about the song, and then also make sure that it's not on Content ID or that you can easily whitelist the Make Music Income YouTube channel. Either way works for me. So thanks, and I look forward to listening to your songs. Okay, Lucas says, I've seen the waiting list for reviews stop some weeks ago. No, again, I'm just only doing it every other week, and I want specific songs for music review. So definitely throw your songs in. If you think you have something that fits TV or film, make sure that you send that to us. All right, Luke says, you've mentioned before you work with many artists for music you upload to sync libraries. When you work with those artists, do you publish the songs under your name? How do royalties work? Well, that's a great question. And with sync royalties and sync libraries, I usually work with partners, and we just partner on that. If we co-write the song, then we split the PRO royalties. If we are partners in the actual license of the song, the master, then we split that. And I act as the one-stop through Positive Spin Songs, which is the name of my company that does the sync stuff. And that is how I do that every week, and how I do that with all the albums that I work on. So anyway, so I hope that answers your question. Royalties basically just work like royalties on the back end, and PRO, they work with in the same way all royalties work. I split them in our PROs together. On the front end, the libraries pay me, and then I will pay the people the other half of the payment. Okay. Lucas says, I was still speaking about Motion Array. Oh, I'm sorry. He said the waiting list for review stopped some weeks ago. Yeah, again, I would email them. That's my best thing I could say there. All right, Jorge says, I've submitted my application to join Pond5 subscription as an author. Do you know if it takes a lot of time? Not usually. I think it only took a week or so before they got back to me on that. So that's what I've seen on that. All right, so Billy says, hey, Eric, I can't find the video on how to get to the Pond5 subscription plan. Yeah, just go to my channel and just search for Pond5, and you will certainly see that video. And I'll try to put it, if anybody could go to my site right now, I can do it, and I can send you that site for sure. I have it up right here, and that one is a good one, and it's a very popular one as well. Certainly. Everybody wants to know how to upload to Pond5, and I also have a free video, remember, about uploading to Pond5. If you remember, it's right here. If you're looking for, now if you're talking about this, how to upload to Pond5, you can go right to this address. But if you're looking for the video, you can see that here. I'll find that for you. Here it is. Here's the link to how I talk about basically how to start with Pond5, but also in that I do talk about the subscription program, and I'll just put that in the chat right here. So you can go to that video and find out about Pond5. Okay. Well, now I want to kind of move here to and Ronan says, there are not very many videos like your Pond5 video, just in general, at least good ones. Thank you again. Well, you are welcome. All right, so I want to now talk about the next section of this. And this is basically my 2022 plan for stock music. So I'm going to take just a little break here for just a second. Right. So let's talk about the 2022 plan for stock music. Okay, so as some of you may remember, I have been reinforcing this on my podcast, by the way, with Stevie B. And we talk about this a lot, and I talk about this a lot in my videos, and talked about this way back in a video about my plan for stock music. If you go back into my videos, and there's a video I'll put up here later that says, talks about my plan for stock music. It was like a wrap up of 2021, and then talking about my plan, focus plan for 2022 in stock music. I had a plan. I still have a plan, and that plan is still underway. And the plan was to not make stock music my focus. And that might seem a little counterintuitive for someone who talks about stock music a lot on my channel, but I I knew that after looking at last year and looking at the numbers, and if I only was seeing a certain amount for an entire year, which was around $4,500, that starts to get to the point where I'm only making, like I said, $373 a month on stock music. So um, that seems like a lot. And even this month, this year, where I'm making 275 or 225 per month, sorry, the ceiling has dropped, and there's only so much time I have for all kinds of things, and you are the same way. There's almost so much time you have to make music and be messing around with these libraries. There's only so much time you have to do any music job, and so you have to be very careful and considerate of your time for what you're going to be doing and for these libraries. If I was only going to be making about 375, my plan for 2022 was to make a ceiling on how many hours I would spend every month and could responsibly put into these libraries, because I have other jobs, and I'll get to that in just a second. And so now that I'm only looking at 225 per month in 2022, it's gone down because of Motion Array and other things. That ceiling has continued to drop into what I can put into it. So, like most of you, I have other incomes that support myself and my family. And luckily for me, they are all music incomes. If you look at this video, if you look at like my latest video, you'll see that there is a new income that I have. And it's actually in the description below, but you'll also see it up here when I am able to fix this video up and put links in the videos. But I have a new video. I have a new income that is a large monthly music income that I just started. And if you look at this video, you'll see that it takes a lot of my time. It is a monthly income. It is substantial. So it's still not my largest income, though, which is working for clients, which is still bigger than that new income that I was talking about. So I have these two gigantic incomes that I work at and have to spend hours at. So since I have this income of working at a school now, and then also working for clients around the world, being executive producer and the consultant and composer for their projects, I also have growing music income from this YouTube channel. It's not inconceivable that in a few months my income from this YouTube channel could be more than my stock music income, just the way stock is going. So here's the problem with making just $225 a month. Now, that's nothing to sneeze at. I know a lot of you watching this are saying, boy, I wish I could make $275 a month. But you have to think about this from my perspective. Also, remember, my grand plan in all of this is to eventually grow licensing, sync licensing, to a major income in 5 or 10 years, to a substantial four-figure plus income per year or per month, and then per year growing that into a 5-figure income. Sync licensing is my goal. It's just that stock music, I found it and I want to concentrate on it. So that is what I started to do. So all this means is that stock can only be given a certain amount of time depending on how much money it makes. And I want to repeat that I am very, very happy with stock music and that I discovered it and this income stream. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, this month alone, I expect payments from 4 libraries that will total about $275. Like I said, that's not nothing. I'll take it. I can use that to pay my phone bill or my car payment. But here's the point. To be honest, that's less than 5%. 5% of my monthly income. Stock music represents less than 5% of my monthly income, my monthly music income. So no matter how much fun it is to create music for stock, which it is fun, and I like doing it because there's a certain freedom in it, I can only afford to spend about 5% of my time on it. I hope that makes sense, but let's talk about that in the chat. Does that make sense to you guys, that I am trying to um, uh, make my income from music, but that stock music for me personally is only bringing in 5%. So I have to be careful how much time I spend on stock music, and not just stock music, but not just making the stock music, but of course, what you know is the really time consuming part of stock music, which is applying to new libraries, which is once you're in libraries, putting the music up to those libraries, tagging all those songs, writing the descriptions, putting them in each library. The AudioJungle process alone is pretty extensive. Pond5 isn't too bad. Motion Array, it can be a little bit of a bear. 100 Audio can be a bit of a bear. Some are really easy. vFind Music has gotten easy with their new system. They're just not paying anything right now. So if any of you can relate to this, let me know. But are any of you out there who are watching this and in the chat can say you feel like you are putting the adequate amount of time into stock music for what you're getting paid? I'd really like to know that, and make sure if you're watching this later, put that in the comments, because that's something I'd really like to know. Jorge says, can you advise on any genre that is selling the most on stock libraries nowadays? Still corporate. Probably still corporate, and up-tempo pop or rock. They seem to be the ones that Steve is doing the best, and he's doing the best of anyone I know. Also Lester Woodward, they're both doing those kinds of up-tempo pop or corporate rock. Ronan says, if I could pay someone to do the upload process, that would be great, but whoever does it would probably do it wrong. Yeah, that is an issue. We want it done for us, but we are control freaks and we want it done our own way. Luke says, Eric, I like to compose so many different genres. Is this an issue when it comes to pitching to stock music libraries? Should I find a niche instead? Well, I'm like you, Luke. I have lots and lots of different genres I write and prefer to write in. I like to compose in all those different genres. And to be honest, and Steve and I talk about this all the time, this is possibly one reason why I don't make as much as someone like Steve or Lester, who concentrate on one or two genres, and especially the genres that make the most income. Now, this really gets into your headspace. What do you want to do? Do you want to create music that you may or may not care about, that makes you money? Are you doing this for money, or are you doing this because you enjoy making music? I personally just like to make music. And so that's the reason why I do this. I don't do it necessarily for money only. I make music income just because I do a lot of things that make music income. And so I would say probably my client work is the most job-like thing. And then after that, the school teaching that I do, educating, is the most job-like thing. And then creating music for stock and for sync libraries is supposed to be the fun part. So I'm going to create the stuff that makes me happy. And if that is stuff that doesn't make money, then I'm going to have to live with that. And that's kind of where I am with stock music right now. I have to live with the genres that I put up making or not making income. And that's kind of the rub of this whole conversation. Sans guitars, I love that. I love that. Where can I find your podcast? Well, you can find it here on my channel. You can find it on Stevie's channel. We both have podcast playlists on these channels where you can find the video version of that. If you want to see if you want to go find the podcast on one of your players, we're definitely on Apple Podcasts, and we're also on Spotify Podcasts. Just search for Make Music Income Podcast and you will find it. We're also on Anchor, we're on Podbean, we're on a lot of different things. But the fastest and easiest way to find us, if you're a Spotify person, go to Spotify Podcasts, or just in Spotify, search for Make Music Income Podcast, or if you are on Apple Podcast, do the same search. Also, you can just do a search in Google for Make Music Income Podcast. You should not have trouble finding our podcast. And if you need more information about where the podcast is, just go to our official website at MakeMusicIncome.com, and that will lead you to all things, videos, podcasts, free things that we have, all sorts of stuff. And speaking of free things, remember that we have 50 ways to make music income. It's a free ebook, and you can find that at MakeMusicIncome.com/50 ways. In it, I talk about all sorts of ways that you can make income, most of which I either do or have done, and you can find that at this link anytime. It's also in the description below. And if you are thinking about uploading to Pond5 and want to know that process, I don't necessarily talk about how to enroll in Pond5 because you have to kind of do that separately. You'll find in my Pond5 video that I showed up in the comments a little bit more, if you'll find in the chat, my Pond5 video that talks about how to get on with Pond5. But once you're in Pond5, this is a free course, short, very, very short course on how to upload to Pond5, and it seems to be very popular. All right, well, let's check the chat and see if there's anything else. Work calls. Well, good day to you, my friend Ronan. Thank you for being here, and yes, sir, we will see you on the Discord. Well, I want to be very careful with my time and with your time, and go ahead and finish up here, basically, my soliloquy and this video about where I am with stock music. And yes, it has become a very small percentage of my music income. But here's a big but. Could I grow it? Could I grow stock music income? And this is something that we're all interested in always. Can we grow this income? Can we grow this from where it is? Could I grow it from $225 a month? And what could I do to grow it? Well, yeah, maybe I could if I doubled my output, or I focused on genres that the stock libraries wanted, like we just talked about. What genres could I make more money by doing the genres that they like? Well, maybe that's for me. Maybe it's not for me. I could likely grow the income or have the success Steve has if I did the specific genre Steve does, but I'm not Steve. Those are really his genres and not the ones that I like to create in. So, like we were just talking about with Luke, I like to make everything from jazz to holiday music to piano to classical to gospel, which does well for me on these things, to pop, to lots of different things. I like to create many, many different kind of genres. So in some ways that hamstrings me a little bit, and it really does take down my income for sure. I'm working on more pop stuff right now for Pond5 and for Motion Array. But to be honest, my pop stuff doesn't seem to pop on Motion Array. What works for me on Motion Array is gospel and hymns and piano music and things like that. I seem to do better with seasonal or unique things that other people don't do, and I kind of like that. That's kind of my thing. I've always been a person who likes to do those different genres. So why don't I just do more? Like I said, I talked to a guy yesterday, and the reason to his success, and same with Dan Barracuda, who has so much success on Spotify, the reason to their success is that they are constantly uploading. Every Friday, Dan is submitting to at least 3 or 4 different curated playlists, trying to get on playlists. That's why he has success. The rest of us are putting a song up every now and then, and I'm certainly a person who does that. I am trying this year to get at least one song up every week to stock music. So that would be a good 50 to 100 songs by the end of the year, depending on if I can put all the loops or different versions I have on Pond5 or whatever. But I don't like to force music to make money. In other words, like I said, I could make more stock music. The problem is that it's just not worth the time that I would spend to put it up there, at least for me. Steve has a different way of approaching it and has different inroads. And Lester has different ways that he's approaching it. And different people have different things that pop on certain kinds of libraries, Pond5 or AudioJungle, or especially Motion Array. So yes, I could output more. I could spend more time putting all those up and doing all the work that it takes to put stuff up to these. But personally, I don't like to do that. I just don't like to do it. And especially if it's only 5% of my income, I just cannot spend that time when I'm making good income from other sources. So yes, I could grow the income, probably, maybe. But I have other music jobs and things I want to do and things I need to grow that need watering, like my sync libraries, like my jobs that bring in the substantial amount. Maybe you could even say bring in 80% of my income. I've got to spend my time there. So that really kind of takes away from the time I spend on stock. Now, I still have to work it. I still have to do something in stock every week. New stuff has to go up. You'll find that if you put 5 to 10 new songs in Motion Array, the next month you will do better. You will have new stuff. Last month I only put 2 things up. The month before I put like 9 new things up, and I had a better month. So you're going to find that is the case for sure with that. Catalan says, how about solo piano? Absolutely. I think solo piano is, number one, super easy to make, right? It doesn't take a long time to make. Like our friend Dan Barracuda, who makes acoustic guitar music and doesn't spend a lot of time on each song. Solo piano is something I can do, and I can open the hymn book, or I can just write a lovely, quiet 3-minute solo piano tune. And as long as I get a good performance, it's ready to go up. So that is something I do love to do, and I have a lot of solo piano music up. And it has been a certain amount of my sales for sure every single month. Solo piano has done very well for me. A lot of the patriotic stuff and holiday stuff and Easter stuff I have is solo piano. So absolutely, solo piano does work. Lucas says, personally, I've got the most sales in rock and hip hop, and I'm going to focus on those genres. Well, absolutely, focus on what is making you the most, especially if you enjoy making those genres. Make sure that you do that. All right, so let's kind of start getting to the wrap up here. Where am I with stock music? So here's where I am. This is it. This is the answer. Here's where I am with stock music as of the air of this video. It's a nice $200 to $300 music income that almost pays my car payment. It pays the electric bill. I'm not going to stop and take all the songs out of there. The only I see people who say, I'm just taking all my songs out of stock media and I'm going to just release them on Spotify. Why take them out? Leave them in and put them on Spotify. I just don't see any reason to take songs down that are making something. If they're not making anything, eventually they could be making something. You've already done the work to put them up. Don't take them down. So the beauty of stock music for me is that I still have hundreds of songs that I have up, and we'll keep adding to that, and they're not going anywhere. Big licenses like the one I got last week on Pond5 can happen. And yeah, it's a $60, $70 license. I make 25 bucks from it. Bonuses on Motion Array can happen, and I make 150 extra in a month from that. And my seasonal songs can do well. We're getting ready to get into Mother's Day. I have a Mother's Day song that's pretty popular about this time of year. And then I have some patriotic songs that will happen here over the next month for Memorial Day and for July 4th here in the States. So those will do well, and my months will go up as those kind of things happen. I'll continue experimenting with prices at Pond5 and AudioJungle and just see what works best. But that will always be up and down. But at least it will be something consistent. And it's kind of like a little hobby in some ways. I mean, I don't want to say that it can only be a hobby. Obviously, it's not for me because I make close to 6 figures a year by doing music things and all the different things that I do in music. But this 5% of my income, this stock music thing, is a little bit of a hobby. We all do it. We watch our incomes on a daily basis. We get a dancing polar bear from Pond5 and it makes us feel good, even though we only made $1.75 or $10 or whatever it is we make. So I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep putting music in stock and still watching what I get. It'll always be a small income that could make me up to $500 in a month, maybe more. If, as Steve proved last month, you could have a really big hit and make four figures, even past $2,000 in Motion Array sales if you're on Motion Array. Regardless, as I said before, though, a music income that only makes 5% or less of my income, while nice, has to be looked at as almost a hobby or at least a small income. I can't spend that much time on it. So the news isn't all bad. Steve's channel for spectacular results from stock music. Watch that. You'll see some great things that he's doing there. But also that has to do with the kind of musician he is and the style he is doing. He literally, like I said, had $2,000 plus last month. I mean, that kind of income is month changing, obviously, right? I mean, that's savings and house deposit money and stuff like that. He's also got lots of money coming from Artlist, and we have another member who is on MusicVine and starting to see stuff there, and we'll have more updates about that. So other people have other experiences. What I'm talking about today is just my experience, and you have your experience, and it may be higher than what I make. It may be lower. It might be nothing yet, and that's okay. Everybody has to start somewhere. My first month in stock, I made $6. And so I've had a unique journey in stock music. It continues to be a unique journey in stock music to add another music income. To be honest, my PRO and royalty and stuff is less than what I make in stock music every month. And hopefully, as sync licensing takes off, the PRO stuff will start to go up and surpass stock music royalties that I'm getting. So I hope this hasn't been too depressing for you, but I just like to give information from my perspective for you to kind of hear and know what's happening on my side with things. This wasn't a numbers video where I showed you every number, and I'll do that at some point again. But this is basically where I am with stock music licensing right now. So just wanted to kind of give you kind of the thoughts about that. Catalan says, I've been selling on Pond5 with $67.97 and get 2 to 3 sales every month. Well, if you watch our friend Daniel at stockmusiclicensing.com and his stock music licensing YouTube channel, he will tell you that you need to be starting up around $50 at least. So congratulations on getting 2 to 3 sales every month at that price. Pete Mason says, this has been great. Thanks, Eric. Hey, you are welcome. Thanks for being part of this and being part of the chat here. Catalan says, a question that has been bugging me regarding royalty-free catalog. How would you maximize the income, spreading it across many royalty-free sites on Spotify, AdRev, Mechanical Rights? Well, the answer to that is you spread it around to all the royalty-free sites. Royalty-free, the beauty about royalty-free sites is anything you put on Pond5 can be put on Motion Array, can be put on AudioJungle, can be put on VFine, and to a certain extent, Audio Sparks and 123RF and 100 Audio, and all of these. You can put all of the songs. So the problem is the time it takes to upload to all of these libraries as you write songs, or if you have 50 to 100 songs and you've got to put them all up to all the libraries. It's a lot of time to see then if those libraries are going to sell those songs. That's what I spent my time doing last year, and I ran into a wall of how much I made for all of that time. As far as Spotify, anything that's on a royalty-free site can go up to Spotify. There is no, it's yours, you own it, so you certainly can send it up to Spotify. AdRev, absolutely, same thing. If they are royalty-free songs and you are putting them up there and somebody might use them on YouTube, you need to be involved in an AdRev or identify so the content ID can be tracked and content ID can then be put into your uh, income streams. And Steve and I are about to update that information here soon. And so hopefully we will know something in the next month or so about our income from the first quarter of 2022 in Content ID. Mechanical rights, there's probably mechanicals are money you make from Spotify for the most part. So there's also the MLC.com, and that is something that you can look at, and that makes money basically from Spotify and the DSPs. Not much, but pennies. So absolutely, you maximize by doing all of those things. But as I've just talked about, all of those things take a lot of time. And the time is where it has become precious for me. What time, even to do these videos and talk to you right now live, this is precious time because I will go and basically work a late afternoon to evening educational job teaching music at a school. And so even though that's music income, it's also a job that requires me to be there at a certain time. So that means the morning that I have, they're precious. The hours that I'm using to make videos, to write music, to serve my clients, all of those are very, very precious. And so I can't spend them on stock music that only makes 5% of my income. Now, stock music may be different for you. Maybe it's a hobby. Maybe you do it for the sheer joy and fun of it. And if you do, congratulations and have fun. Enjoy it. But know that it possibly may not make back the money and the whatever your value is, your time back on it. So that's really what I want to say. That's kind of where I am with stock media right now. It is all about my time. It is all about what I am making back for the time I am putting into it. I love making this music. It's not hard to make. It's fun to make. I can do it all right here without having to go to studios in Nashville, unlike my sync music, which I involve a cast of thousands to make that. The music that I make for stock is 100% self-contained, so somewhat easier to make on my own. But it does take time, and time is where I am limited the most right now. And so I have to put the right amount of time in for the right amount of music income I'm making. So, well, everybody, thank you so much for being here today. This has been a lot of fun answering your questions, and I hope if you're watching this on a replay, you will put any questions you have into the comments below. I would love to hear your experiences with stock music and how you feel it is for the time that you put into it. Are you making the money that you want to make in this type of income? Catalan says, thank you, Eric. When are you going to get Daniel on the podcast? Buddy, we have been trying for a year, since we started the podcast, to get Daniel on. Daniel is a busy guy, and believe me, we have been trying. So everybody, thanks so much for watching. I'm going to end the stream right here. I got to get ready for now our podcast taping with our buddy Stevie B, and so that's next. So I'm going to pop off here and just say goodbye and end this stream. But thanks so much for watching. I hope this has helped you think a little bit about stock music and where it fits in your income streams with music. So have a great day, and we'll see you next time on Make Music Income Live. Thanks so much. Now everybody wave, say goodbye. Bye, Eric. Bye-bye. Say goodbye. We're waving.